Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Mike Haspil, and Sean Naden. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
How are you now?
I would be here.
So we are back together. Well, we're back in the same online room, but we were all recently in the same room together over the weekend when Juice was getting married. So it's good to see you guys again. I feel like we just talked. Yeah. Besides the 3 hours we just talked just now.
I feel like we've done a lot of just talked and just seen you. But yeah, you're right. We were all in the same room. I got to see you guys in suits. I got to meet Sean's wife. I got to saw Sean dancing. I got to see Mike in a ballin' kingpin suit.
I almost considered renting a white suit with a black shirt. And just because I could probably do the kingpin.
But then you remembered it was a wedding and you shouldn't be wearing white.
Yeah.
We had that same problem. We had the same problem. We were like dress shopping because Christy didn't have anything that she wanted to wear, and we'd be like, "Oh, that dress is sweet, but it's 80% white." Nope.
And I think they flipped it though, because Juice wore the light colored tux and Allie just wore like a beautiful like pink dress, I think.
Yeah, well, but they also flipped. They had everybody wearing black for like the bridesmaids and everything. And I was like, that is the way to go. Everybody was looking sleek, looking good. It was great. And they're not stuck with some pastel like bridesmaid dress. You know what I mean?
Some garbage dress designed to just make you look shitty so the bride looks better.
How rude.
A big shout out to Stephen Fore and Allie Fore. They're on their honeymoon right now. That's why Juice is not with us. Right, meow? But here in a little bit, we will be having an interview with an industry legend tonight to fill the void that you guys will be feeling with no Juice. Oh. Jason Charles Miller coming on the show and getting interviewed by us in a pretty disjointed and nerdy way.
Yeah, a very, very professional interview.
The Long War way is what you're saying.
People will study this interview in the future to see how to conduct interviews.
Mike Haspil, I need a pen. Who's got a pen? Mike, take mine.
Then it all fell apart, and then the Giants took over for a minute.
That's right.
I assure you we are predicting the future of this conversation. We haven't pre-recorded it.
No, this has not been pre-recorded whatsoever. It's theater of the mind. Theater of the mind. All right, fine. We'll talk about 40K. Gosh, worst. You guys are the worst. Tabletop Market Watch. So we got lots of stuff coming out. We got 2 new supplements because I put out 1 supplement. When you can have 2 going on pre-order this weekend is 40K Chapter approved for $35 and the new Vigilus Defiant, which we're going to talk probably a little bit more about tonight, for $50 US. That'll have all those mega super ultra Thunderzord detachments that everybody seems to be super opinionated on right now. The Warhammer 40K carrying case for $35. Not sure what that is. Marnius Calgar, $55 US. He comes with his 2 bodyguard mans. Harkin World Claimer for $35. The Necron Cryptic from the Forge of Bane box for $35. And also the Titan Death hardback novel for $30 finally releases. That's a Horus Heresy novel. It's not actual rules for Titanicus, although the expansion for Titanicus for rules will be called Titan Death. It will occur on the same in the same location, Beta Garmin or Garmon, whatever they call it. And that will all be coming soon. They'll probably be announced at the Heresy Weekender, first weekend or second weekend in February. I forget which, but it's coming fast. It's coming hard. It's coming soon to a internets near you. There's some limited edition versions of all this stuff. And strangely enough, the White Dwarf lists the Vigilus Defiant basic rules at $75, which is wrong. It's $50. But wouldn't that be something if an expansion costs more than the base rules? I feel like they made the right call there. So that is all coming out this week. And of course, actually releasing this week will be all the battle forces. If you're unfamiliar with them, there's a huge breakdown list over on Spiky Bits. For the most part, you get about $250 of value out of each one, which is pretty incredible considering, some of them you can buy doubles of and have the makings of a really great army, or maybe just buy one and have to add a couple of units in. We have a breakdown video. It'll be up on YouTube at some point, probably about the time you're hearing this. So make sure you check that one out if you're in the market for that. Tons of new Necromonday coming out. Tons of new Blood Bowl. For Star Wars Legion, there's actually two releases came out last week when we weren't around. The Emperor has made his appearance as the most expensive unit in Star Wars Legion. Also, the Royal Guardsman you can field now as well. And a couple weeks prior, the weapon emplacements came out for Star Wars Legion as well.
Real quick, nerd me.
Yes.
The bodyguard, are those the guys who are like in the red armor?
Yes.
Now, like, why are they any good? Like, why can they actually fight a Jedi?
So in the game, they actually have a special ability. You can take a heavy weapon dude that's like a double-handed pole arm, and he can basically prevent lightsaber attacks on the squad. It's called Pierce, and
how can they keep up with the speed of a Jedi, and is their armor resistant to a lightsaber? Like, I don't understand. Like, how do they fight?
Yeah, so it would make it kind of resistant. So a lightsaber has a special ability called Pierce, where it basically, for every save you roll, you didn't roll a save. How crazy would that be in 40K? But so they have this ability where it negates the Pierce ability, so you just have to attack normal. Not to say that, Luke Skywalker going at them still is going to do some damage, but they have 2 wounds and they're a little bit easier.
Okay, so now narratively,
yes.
In the actual narrative, are they any good at fighting Jedi?
Well, in the new movie that Haspil would not talk about, the guys in red fight the Jedi, and they have similar.
And conveniently have blades CGI'd out of their hands when they would own Rey, but we won't talk about that. Or how guys obviously swing right over her head when they would have clocked her in the back of the head, but we won't talk about that either.
And similar to the energy weapons that they use in the prequel movies too, the General Grievous's guards catch the lightsabers too with various electro shock.
And if you
weaponry.
want to go way back, there's a part where Luke actually hits Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back. When they're fighting, he actually hits Vader, but the armor that Vader wears is, I want to say cortosis. People are going to call me on this, but I think that's what it's made out of, and it can stop lightsabers. And the part I'm talking about, Vader gets hit in the shoulder and he grunts, but he should have lost an arm if it wasn't for that armor that he's wearing.
Mm-hmm.
So it is established in the lore.
Well, they have 4 staffs, or 4 spikes rather. So I'm not sure how all that sorts out. Obviously, we never saw it in Return of the Jedi because he said, "Gods, leave us," and they left, and we don't know what happened. So, but the Emperor himself in Legion is a straight G. Like, he can just blow up 5 units if he wants. He's just like, you're dead, well, not completely, but he can put a hurting on the table. He's actually the most expensive unit in the game thus far. It's really exciting. I know you don't care, but it's really exciting to me. Almost as exciting as Titanicus, but not quite. Oh, speaking of which, Titanicus' battle group's coming out in direct order. It's $170. You get a free box of Warhounds with it. Pair that with the rule set for $60 and $230. You can get a really good start into Titanicus if you are so inclined. Oh, I would like to bring something up for a second. I don't know if you guys saw on Facebook where we got a listener was really upset that we were poo-pooing Titanicus. And I think he misunderstood a little bit what I said when I say Titanicus is the best game that you will never play. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, because most folks have universally, bailed out of the game or any interest because of the high price point. But rest assured, if you are genuinely interested in pew pew lasers on robots and you put the money out, you will love the game. Can you think of any other game from GW that doesn't have an FAQ after nearly 6 months? It may be the perfect GW game, but it is expensive. It was more expensive than I think a lot of people thought it was going to be, and it got panned by a lot of people, I feel like, unfairly. And so if you have a chance to get in on it, at least do a demo. Have fun with it. It really is a good game. Mm-hmm. So that's all I got for Tabletop.
I may get into it with my next batch of store credit. We'll see.
Crazy, you're a wild man, Haspil.
But only if we stop releasing plates, right?
Yeah, that's right. Is that
commemorative 40K plates?
Dumping a ton of store credit on some loot. Well, I was unaware until tonight that this loot is not generally available. So I want to tell you about it. There's a company called Half Moon Bay that makes GW, not just GW, but Warhammer 40K bowls and mugs and steins and shot glasses and pencil cases and notebooks and all kinds of extra stuff, like card holders. There's just a ton of swag stuff. They even have like a shaving bag or like a shaving kit bag that you put your shaving kit in. It's absolutely incredible. This stuff is not overpriced in GW money. It's basically free. I don't know online where to get it other than Amazon. And we posted a
it's an Amazon store. I ran a promo for them a couple months ago. Gave away their bag and like a lunch tin.
Yeah.
Like this shit
these
was
are all
tight.
licensed products.
Licensed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are all licensed products. They're fantastic and they're really good quality. The only downside on some of the mugs and glasses and stuff is that they use some gold foil to do the Aquila and some of the detailing. So you can't put them in the dishwasher and you can't put them in the microwave. But they have like these earthenware bowls that are just fantastic. And I think it's salamanders, ultramarines, blood angels, and space wolves. They're really, really, really cool if you're into just buying, swag, GW nerd swag. Myself, if it has an Aquila on it, I'm probably going to buy it. So I was able to pick it up at my local game store. So you may want to look there first, but I have a feeling this stuff is not going to be around very long. So you want to probably pounce on that or at least give it a look-see. And I see somebody else just posted the link in the chat as well. So thank you for that. There's a couple other things going on. We're in December. So Black Library is doing its advent calendar stuff. We already have the first 5 stories already out. These are usually short stories spread all over the IP, all over the Warhammer IP and everything like that. They're inexpensive. So if you want to read some cool short stories and everything, the advent calendar is going, and they have some stuff. Also, GW announced that they're bringing back their podcasts. So they're going to have Stormcast and Voxcast next week. Don't have any more really info on that and what the format for that is. And then they released Kill Team Command Roster as an app, which also has, I think the Blackstone Fortress stuff is in there too.
You can field those dudes as commanders and also as squads or kill teams.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then they also have opened up the nominations for Warhammer Heroes for 2018. So that's all the crazy news there. What's interesting is that I think in that Kill Team Command Roster thing, guardsmen are like 5 points. So don't know if that reflects a chapter approved change.
Guardsmen are 5 points right now, right?
Oh, they are? Okay.
I believe they are.
I thought they were more expensive, but
they're
okay.
They're a point over cultists right now.
Okay. All right.
For now.
Disregard.
Yep. All right. So speaking of points for things, we might as well just run into chapter approved and start talking about some of the rumored points changes that are out there. There's a big compilation going around. We wrote up some of them, sectionalized them. I think they were originally first seen over on Bloody Kittens. Put the link in the chat here if you're watching us live, so you can check that out. But we started with Grey Knights because Haspil loves him some silver. So we'll just start back there again. So Castilian Crow is looking to be about 75. Drago at 200 now. Grey Knight Terminator's base cost of 26. And I think the big news is that they'll be getting full smite. As opposed to that Buster Demon Smite that I think everybody is thoroughly over.
Are they going to keep the rule where like they do always do a 3 to demons?
I wouldn't see why they wouldn't, but don't have any information on that.
That shit is hard when you're playing demons and all these dudes just start throwing like, that's 3.
Yeah, that could be pretty dirty. For Space Marines, it looks like the big changes are going to be Intercessors down to 17. The Land Raiders are down 40 points to 200. Redeemers down 180. Down to 180, so it's down 60. Repulsor tank, we were talking about this earlier. Sean was all about it. It's 185 now, so it's down from 210, I believe. But as Sean reminded us, it is a dedicated transport, so you can have more than 3 in an army. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I know some people are running 3 in Gulliman. Now you might be able to squeeze 4 in Gulliman. So
all the pew-pews. It's so good. And plus, they're a lot easier to get now with the battle forces that just came out. There's one that comes with primarily, I think it's just Primaris, Intercessors, Reavers, the Jump Troops, a Captain. This is just all off the cuff, and the Repressor. So maybe you can find some folks that aren't as crazy to run 3 and do some swapping. Primaris Captain down to 78. Captain and Gravis Armor down to 90. Terminator's down to 23 base. Drop pod to 63. I don't know if anybody cares. Twin Last Cannons to 40. Storm Shields on characters to 12. Perhaps some of the biggest changes for stuff that really hasn't seen a lot of play, mostly because it was overpriced, was Trajan Valoris. Is that how you say it? Haspil? Trajan
Valoris.
Trajan. Yeah. Trajan Valoris down at 75 points to 175, and he is a G. He is an absolute G. And Custodian Wardens to 45, down for 49. Alarus Custodians supposedly are going to 60 points. I think that is down from 69, if I'm not mistaken. Kenny, who probably has a lot to say about Cultists going up to 5 points each. I suppose you could say the writing has been on the wall.
I'm not happy with it. I don't want to even say, like, I've been talking about it in Tactics class. I talked about it on Twitch, talked about it on the webcast. I don't have a problem with all trash going up a point across the board as a fix to maybe the Horde, bubble wrap, bodies in the ground. But you just hit me with a lot of these tanks are going down on points. GW wants their sci-fi IP to look like a sci-fi IP. You got to do more than just make cultists 5 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're making a bunch of these tanks cheaper, making a bunch of the power armor guys cheaper. My big problem is with the statement they made where it's like, we're looking at like what's really popular across the board, different armies, and addressing that. You've already addressed it by making Tide of Traders one-time use only, making Forward Operator nerfed. To also stack a point increase on them, it's the wrong direction. There's still more you can do. Like they have the Hereticus Astartes keyword, which lets them to use silly things like Veterans of the Long War and Endless Cacophony. Like these are the problems. If you want it to be a trash unit that just dies, maybe take some of the rules away. Don't keep adding points to it, because there is no fucking planet that I live in that I can think of where a guardsman at 5 points is the same as a cultist at 5 points. Guardsman is a 5-up save. A cultist is a 6. Right there, that's 50%. That's double survivability. A guardsman that covers a 4-up save. Like without any other information, that's wrong. That's the wrong points. Guardsmen have access to orders, which are a no fail rate pseudo psychic power, similar to warp time and endless cacophony. They actually have guns that are good. Access to mortars. Like, that's the wrong move. GW, I think it fails to look at what other units do at the same power level as evidence with the buggies. We went deep on the buggies, right? Let's just pick 30 different units that are the same points. Let's take a look what they do. GW doesn't do that. They don't make a habit out of doing that. So that's what I'm upset about. It's like, whoop, GW doesn't do that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's going to be some other point hikes in there. We'll see.
I think it's an interesting point you bring up too about them wanting that IP to look sci-fi, because in the Vigilus book, there's a ton of these new mega formations or whatever you want to call them. I guess they're technically detachments, but you've got stuff in here like the Emperor's Wrath Artillery Company, a tank company, Wind Rider hosts, all of the stuff for the orcs, the Cult of Speed, a Dreadwog, a Blitz Brigade, all of these things. While the base units might not have gotten a points decrease, they may have a overall meta shifting or just a rules increase in potential just by getting these rules.
I've always been about adding or subtracting rules before you look at points, because only very few points, and Sean could back me on this, there's not very many units in the game that are just like that have the perfect rules and are just the wrong points. Like Avatar is one of the only ones I can think of where he has a great set of fucking rules. Wouldn't change a damn thing. He's just a little bit too many points.
Yep.
Fair.
Right.
Very accurate.
my man plays a lot of Avatar.
A lot of avatars.
Speaking of Elder, I just found something we're going to talk about here in a minute. All right, so Cultist 5 points, Bellacore down to 240, Scarab Occult Terminators 26, Zangors up to 8. The big 4, Great Unclean One, Lord of Change, Bloodthirster, and Keeper of Secrets supposedly all getting points reductions. 255 for Great Unclean One. I think he was well over 300 if I remember when I did the review on him. Lord of Change 245, Bloodthirster's 265, Keeper of Secrets 150. 150.
150.
That's a silly points cost.
Sounds like I'm starting a pink army.
Oh my goodness. Rubic Marine 16 base cost, Warp Flamer that they can have 10 points each. And I guess we figured this out on the show earlier. Thousand Sun's also getting the full smite for the sergeants. So they'll be able to unlock that instead of the Buster one they have. Some updates on Eldar, some Tal, some Necron stuff, but nothing too super crazy. Just some stuff that, as expected, I guess you could say. But the other big news on the rules front that I think we need to roll to kind of work down real quick is some of these. Let me get the exact terminology here. They're a specialist detachment is the actual terminology for it. And if your army is battle forged, you can use that specialist detachment benefits, which they list on the page there. And not everybody's getting one of these, just, specific factions. So there'll be a specialist detachment stratagem that changes keywords or adds a keyword to the units in that formation. So this is something that we saw at 7th that was such a feel badsy was, if you take this, and this, you get this for free. Well, now it's, hey, if you have a detachment, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Sean, you pay the CPs before you build your list. And now everything that meets this criteria in your detachment gains these additional keywords.
Yeah, I believe that's what it is. I don't think it puts any restriction on how much of the things you can take or how little you have to take, but it only affects certain units in those detachments.
So obviously, being a gamer, if it benefits a certain type of unit, you would want to probably have as many of those type of units as legally possible in that detachment to reap the benefits of spending that command point.
Not necessarily, because Sean, right? You can only use stratagems like once per phase, and if you just want to have a cool little 1-2 punch, it goes both ways, Rob. Like,
sure, okay,
you want to spam it, sure, but also you want to point efficient it. Like if you really just look,
I think it'll be based on a case by case basis, right? We'll have to see what they have and whether the units that are getting the benefit can be spammed. For example, the Eldar one, the Wraith Host, you can't really spam, even with the points reduction that's rumored for them. Spamming them isn't a big gain for you as the Eldar player because eventually you're going to run out of points. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those units lend more towards that Death Star mentality where you stack psychic powers and you stack buffs on them. And the only strat that came out for them is a +1 attack strat, which you can't use across multiple units. So that one might lead to that you just having that unit, having that as your central block and paying that 1 CP to give you that access to that stratagem and maybe that warlord trait. But some of the other ones might lend towards, like you said, maximizing the number of units.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine for like the guard companies, with tanks. I mean, guard tanks are like Doritos. You don't really just take one.
It's impossible.
Unless you're fast.
Never been done. You should run us down on the since we talked about the Eldar one. Let's talk. Break down the Eldar one for us, and let's definitely break down the Speed Freak one because I think that's a good example of it can go a lot of ways.
So I just found something on the Wind Rider host as I was going back through some of the articles we had written and taking the freeze frames of the video. So I wanted to talk about the Wind Rider host real quick. The Wind Rider host you can unlock. It says here if you pick a Crossworld detachment, all Altark, Farseer, all of the things on bikes, it looks like Warlocks, Vipers, Wind Riders, all gain the Wind Rider host keyword. So that's that specialist detachment. The Warlord trait, I think, is more exciting. And we didn't know this until, just now. It looks like the Warlord trait is Wild Rider. As long as you have the Wind Rider host keyword, your Warlord and any friendly Wind Rider host units within 6 inches of your Warlord can charge even if they fall back this turn. So a little bit of a bonus there.
Yeah, but you'll notice that you didn't say the word Shining Spear in any.
Yes, I did not.
So
confirmed.
That is limited in its application.
Yeah, whereas like that's the unit you want to be charging with on that list of units.
Right. So there's an Orc one. The Blitz Brigade, this one was pretty noticeable in the video. So we grabbed a lot of these breakdowns. Somebody on Reddit, I think Captain Betts, freeze framed a lot of this. Blitz Brigade, the unlock cost, we can't really tell. It's between 1 and 3 CPs. And it's going to change or add the Blitz Brigade keyword to Warbikes, Battle Wagons, Bone Crushers, and other variants. And the Warlord trait, if your Warlord is embarked on a Blitz Brigade transport, add 1 inches to that transport's move characteristic. And while your Warlord is embarked on it, the transport gains the Here We Go ability additionally. So these guys can, of course, have the clan culture and all that as well. So I think Kenny was...
The most exciting part about that is the stratagems. They said they had 3 stratagems. 1 for a shooty tank, 1 for a bone crusher tank, and 1 was an incredibly versatile, like kind of slingshot transport ability.
Yeah, the one you're talking about is the 2 CP Hold On Boys. Play the strat during your movement phase before moving a Blitz Brigade battle wagon. Pick a friendly clan infantry unit wholly within 3 inches of that model and remove it from the battlefield. Once the battle wagon has moved, you may redeploy the unit of Orc infantry around it within 3, as long as it's more than 1 inches away from enemy units. So now there is a restriction. It cannot move. They cannot move further this phase and counts as having moved this turn for all rules purposes.
But charge. They cannot charge?
They cannot charge.
Oh, it's dead to me.
It instantly became dead to me.
Instantly became dead to me.
Yeah, I was Sean, go with me this.
I was all on board. I was like, all right, so we get out of the tank, leave enough room in front of the tank to move, slide the tank forward, redeploy the boys out, get the knobs into combat, start wrecking shit.
Dog, I was literally on you. I was I'm talking like 10 knobs, all with big choppers. I'm like, go deploy them out here. We're gonna slingshot them into combat. We're gonna ramming speed with the super death roller. And then you said that shit.
And then you said can't charge, and I was like, dead to me.
You don't think it has any application?
No, it does have application. In a pinch, you can move a unit.
Tank Buster Boys.
Yeah, I mean, in a pinch, you can do things with it. It's not useless. The other thing I liked was because I have a lot of lists with Bone Crushers. I love Battle Wagons. They have a 1 CP where like when you get to use a Death Roller, it's another D6. So it's like literally this one Battle Wagon slings across the table, uses ramming speed, hits you. It's D6 plus D6 plus 6 attacks. That's really good for 1 CP.
And you take the highest result for that.
Oh, is it 2D6 pick the highest? It's not 2D6?
This one is.
I feel like we have some misinformation here.
I think Robbie B didn't read all the sentences before. We are. I think we're back to the formations aren't that OP. And
yeah, we were trying to be like, this formation is really good. Now we're right back.
You do roll an additional.
Okay, Rob, you roll an additional dice.
Take the highest result.
No, okay.
No, that's not an additional.
They used the word additional incorrectly there.
They did.
We should just be using the phrase roll 2 dice, pick the highest. Not roll an additional dice, long pause, then pick the fucking highest.
Then pick the highest.
So, Vigilus not OP?
Not OP. So basically, the only reason this matters, right, is because Sean, walk us down the history of 7th edition. Why are people concerned about these pseudo formations?
Mostly because of the way they happened to roll them out in the last edition. There'd be like they would release like 10 or 12 for each army at a time. One would be clearly heads and shoulders more powerful than the rest. And then they'd be sprinkled across 10 books. Once a month, we'd get a book, and it'd be like, oh, did my army get a formation in this book? No. Okay. What army did? And you'd forget. Like Tau, I think, had formations spread across 4 or 5 different books at one point. And in the end, only like 2 or 3 of them were really powerful, and those ended up getting spammed because you'd get Riptides that would shoot twice every turn or twice once per game, which tended to be enough to table your whole army.
Yeah, they would shoot you on turn 1 IRL. Then you'd move, and then they'd shoot you again. It'd be literally 3 turns of shooting. Somebody asked in chat, wouldn't this help Burner Boys? I was like, yeah, until I realized Burner Boys were D3 fucking shots with a flamer. Like, I was like, Burner Boys might be the truth here. They're flamers, right? They're D6 shots, right? And it's you to roll 1 dice for the unit. You're like, I got 10 Burner Boys. I rolled that sick ass 1. Here's 10 bolter shots. No. And there was other one, like, yeah, because as Sean said, is like formations, they started spamming literature to make money because they're a publishing house. They started spamming rules to sell models because they're a rules making company that sells models. And they really fucked the game up. It got so bloated, so unmanageable, so imbalanced. So many of these formations were like not even limited to like, hey, we can shoot twice. That's honestly the least of the problem there in 7th.
The free transport one was a little...
Gladius Strike Force, Demi Company, and War Convocation. These were literally like 13 free rhinos or 1,000 points on free war gear.
Yeah, it was bad.
That's an issue. And so we're looking at these specialized detachments. We're not seeing that. We're seeing pretty thematic, cool things. I can still see myself in a battle wagon environment budgeting the 1 CP to be a blitz brigade to utilize just to know I have the ability to slingshot a unit into a position to grab an objective. Maybe I know I have to kill this unit and I can't roll less than a 4, and maybe I pay that CP just to know I fucked this shit up. Like, I can see that. It's a cool bonus. Definitely not going to replace any of the way we're playing the game right now. You know, even the other one, the Spirit Host, is that what it's called? The Wraith with the Wraith construction?
Oh yeah, Spirit Host.
The Spirit Host one is basically literally you're talking about a stratagem that gives you an extra attack on a Wraith Guard squad. Like,
and because like if you look at Wraith Guard, you're not going to use it on the shooty ones. Again, the Wraith Knight or the Wraith Lord, 1 extra attack, so they're not making a big deal. I'm probably not paying 1 CP or 2 CP because you got to factor in that tax CP to start. I'm probably not paying that for one of those 2 models. So the only unit I'm using on is a Wraith Blade unit, which already has a lot of attacks, which has ways to get even more attacks. So if I'm already using that unit, then yeah, maybe I'm paying that 1 CP to give them the off chance to be a little better. because they have some secret tech in there where they can use the one-time relic from the Eldar Codex to double their attacks. So every time you're stacking those attacks, then it's really 2. So that's the only time it's worth it. And if you're not using that unit, you're not doing Wraith Host. There's no point.
So I like them. This seems to be the formations that we should have had, where it's a thematic boost to an army played by an individual that has love for certain types of units.
Yeah, I could get behind that. I think it was a little ambitious of them to drop it the same week as Chapter Approved, but I mean, they did their marketing research and they said, "Hey, this is what we're doing." So, all right, well, we'll see. Bold move. We'll see how it pans out for sales and everything. I've got a lot of thoughts on the way sales have been going, at least for a lot of game stores that I've talked with, and a lot of different things out there. But it's not for this podcast, I don't think. But I'm sure you'll see it as an editorial on Spiky Bits here in the near future.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break right now. And then when we come back, we will have an interview with Jason Miller of D&D fame and musician fame and all kinds of other fame.
Finally, the Long War swag is here. LongWarSwag.com, the official home of Long War merchandise. We've got a range of merchandise exclusive to the Long War brand, Next Level Painting, and Spiky Bits. Definitely log in today while supplies lasts. Veterans, I've got news for you. Get your best deals online at dicehead.com. Long War Vets, call or email for your best vet deals. That's dicehead.com. elricshobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby. When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elric's Hobbies. elricshobbies.com.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Long War. I'm here with Jason Charles Miller, who is a voice actor, a musician, and a dungeon master extraordinaire. So we are really lucky to have him. He's on all kinds of different platforms and everything. And Jason, I'm sorry, but I don't know everything that you're on. I know you do stuff with Geek and Sundry, and I know that you do like celebrity D&D games, but I don't have all the information down. So would you mind filling that in?
That's okay, man. Yeah. So I host a show on Geek and Sundry called Starter Kit, where we teach basically newbies how to play role-playing games. We've done D&D, of course, 7th Sea, Numenera, Phoenix Dawn Command, Vampire the Masquerade. And so right now we're in the middle of season 3, and that airs every Thursday. I'm also every Tuesday, you can catch me live on the Dungeons and Dragons Twitch channel on a show called Sirens of the Realms. And so that's really fun. So yeah, I do a lot of stuff with them. Obviously, I've been a musician my entire life. I was the lead singer of the band Godhead. Still technically am, because we never broke up. We just kind of are on a really, really long hiatus.
So you've been cheating on them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so I've had I have a new solo album out called In the Wasteland, and I'm kind of in the middle of promoting that right now. We just launched a new video a couple weeks ago for that. And
good title, In the Wasteland.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Love it. I'm in the wasteland right now. Fallout 76.
We all are. Oh yeah. We're all going to be soon.
Soon, IRL.
Started already. Yeah. But, yeah. And then I'm a voice actor. I've been in over like 100 different, games, anime. I've done a bunch of different commercials, and, original animation. And yeah, so that's kind of what I do. I also own a recording studio called Central Command Studios, and I produced Billy Ray Cyrus's last album there. I also produce music for Geek and Sundry, Nerdist, for TV, movies, kind of just like your modern day bard.
Seems like a lot. Yeah, I was going to say, sounds like a lot of voice based things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you put you spread your points out in a lot of different.
Yeah, I know. Luckily, I leveled up in a lot, so I was able to like bring them back up some.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's kind of an honor to have you on here, because that's really incredible.
No, I'm honored to be here, man. Just like even in this room and knowing that all your rooms look like this too. I'm like, yeah.
This is not an isolated Beat Slam. This is a pretty common Beat Slam scenario.
So of the stuff you just mentioned, like the thing that really just caught me was that starter kit thing, because a lot of people are, they want to play D&D or a role-playing game and they're intimidated by it. They're just like really, really scared.
Right. So what our idea behind the show was, well, it was interesting because the head of video production for Geek and Sundry came to me. He's an old friend of mine. His name is Sean Becker. And he said, look, like Critical Role is our #1 show. He goes, but I don't know how to play D&D and I can't watch this show. So a lot of people must also be in this same position. Like they want to watch more of these streaming shows, but they don't know the rules to the game that they're watching. So why don't we do a show which will be a gateway to the other shows that we have on our network, but also will teach. So that was like that was the network's logic of coming in. And then my logic was great because I love playing role-playing games and I want to just sort of share that with the world and let other people learn why we love this nerdy stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like D&D is like, it's the most popular I think it's ever been, ever.
I know, it's crazy how it's so popular, whereas like 8 or 10 years ago, everyone had to talk in hushed tones in Hollywood that they played D&D. And now it's like, the cool kids.
Every buddy I have out here, Mike, has a D&D group.
Yeah. It's like Colbert flaunts it. I'm trying to think of the guys.
Well, Joe Manganiello. Yeah. I mean, we become good friends over D&D.
Oh, that's amazing, man. That is totally awesome. Do you have like a favorite system? I know you mentioned like 7C and a bunch of different, the White Wolf games and all that stuff like that. Do you have like a favorite system, like a go-to system?
Well, actually, I think 5th edition D&D they've refined it a lot. I was a big 3.0 and 3.5 player for a long time, but I think that 5th edition has kind of, smoothed out all the bumps. But what's also interesting is Monty Cook's newer system, the Cypher system that he does for Numenera, and is a really cool, different way of looking at it. So if you haven't seen the Cypher system yet, it still uses D20s, but the difference is that like every 3 points. So like if you roll a 3, if you roll a 6, or you roll a 9 or a 12, like something new will happen, like more powerful.
Oh, okay.
Based on that. Like, and that's kind of interesting too. And, Monty Cook is a legend in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. So this is like his years of experience of playing all these different role-playing games and then making this system. So that's a new one that I want to dig more into. But because I'm on a weekly 5th edition show on the D&D Twitch channel, obviously 5th edition is like my brain is in that because I'm looking at it every day and
it's your content, man. It's preaching to the choir, with the 40K shit, you know what I'm saying? Like people are like, have you tried Kill Team yet? And I'm like, bruh, I barely got enough time to keep my brain right on this.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I've got a friend from England who loves Warhammer, but kind of poo-poos 40K.
Oh, yeah.
So like it's interesting how people are in their own.
We're subdivided.
Yeah.
We got, even on this show, Robbie B, you like Age of Sigmar or Warhammer? You like that more still, don't you?
I like Sigmar and Titanicus.
Like, this is a 40K podcast, and he's like, man, fuck 40K.
Yeah, like, wait a minute. What are you talking about here? Hey, but you always need that one voice of dissonance, right? Or you wouldn't have a show.
We got at least one. I mean, we just brought Mike back from the warp. He was like, this is dead to me. This is dead to me. The holiday special started rolling out. Yo, I got this mug. I got this cereal bowl.
I have a chip
up on eBay right now, and now he's got to pull it down.
Yeah.
We call it the 40K chip. It goes off sometimes. GW.
And I'll just buy everything. Well, with regards to like D&D and stuff like that, do you like more of a, because I know like when I GM, I don't really care about the rules. I follow the rule of cool. And it's like, if it's really cool and they think they can pull it off, then I just make it very clear that if it doesn't work, something horrible is going to happen,
Right. No, I'm kind of the same way as a DM, that it's more about the story. And if you want to try this fantastic thing, it's going to be really hard, but if you roll a natural 20, then you did it. So, who knows? I also am a world builder. So, growing up as a huge J.R.R. Tolkien fanatic from all the worlds that he created, from the first age, the second age, the third age, I love building entire worlds and like being like, okay, well, this country is going to be a plutocracy and this country is going to, you know what I mean? Like, I love just like mixing it up and just making these crazy continents and then putting my adventurers in them.
Oh yeah. I don't even know how many notebooks of graph paper I've gone through just creating maps. And
well, I recently got asked to be a guest at GaryCon, which is Gary Gygax. So Luke and Earl Gygax run a con in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, which is where Gen Con used to be held originally. And, Gen Con has gotten massive, like it takes over the city of Indianapolis.
Big deal.
So, for the last 10 years, they've had, ever since, Gary died, they've had GaryCon. And, so this year I'm going to be a guest there and I'm going to run, an adventure actually 3 different times throughout the weekend. And I'm currently writing that adventure right now. So I'm having fun, awesome. Just kind of digging in. And, when you run an adventure for strangers, that's a whole nother level of, what's going to work and what isn't going to work. And I've recently run a couple of different, adventures at conventions, and I've learned a lot from that. And this is one where, Chris Lindsay, one of the execs at Wizards of the Coast at D&D, sent me this specific first level adventure that I've been running. And, I learned things like with 6 people, it's awesome. With 8 people, it falls apart. You know what I mean? So the stranger element is like a whole new thing. Whereas if it's players that or if it would say in the campaign, sure, but a one shot with strangers that's going to run smooth and everyone's going to have a good time. There's real specific things you've got to put in there. And also, kind of know, like, if you add this extra encounter, you could add an extra hour to your gameplay. So really think hard about that.
Yeah. Con one shots are really, really a different, they're almost a completely different game.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. But yeah, you kind of touched on one thing. What would you think is the optimum? Cause I tell people never more than 6 because it's impossible to get more than that number of people to actually show up to the games. And I know I'm notoriously bad for lately
being one of those.
But what would you think is the ideal number?
I think 6 because you will get a good variety of different classes and races and abilities and things that can happen, and some overlap. You know what I mean?
Where you've got and overlap,
right? But when you've got 8, it's just might as well be murder hobos, right? It's just like it's total just chaos.
Yeah, I find that when you do like 8, there's 2 people at the table like not doing anything.
Right.
Going
Yeah.
out
Or they're
and
waiting
those-
forever. You know, if you roll low on your initiative score or something, you're just going to wait.
Rate of play is a big part of all game systems, especially, so I can see that.
So 5 or 6 would be ideal. 4, you could be good, as long as they're more experienced. And you might run into your healer gets killed on the first encounter. Now what? At least with 6, you might have a cleric and a druid or something,
Sean, I see you sneaking in. You play D&D?
6 is the number you need in Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Am, so obviously that's the correct number.
Oh yeah, man, I love that game.
That's my favorite game of all time.
Yeah. Minsk and Boo, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All day, every day.
I was telling these guys before you came on the interview, because we're all aware of like pretty much every, I guess we call them cat forms now, platforms.
Okay.
By the way, I get that reference. I played that game too. That was when I first introduced the dude with the little chipmunk on his little evil space hamster.
Yeah,
D&D.
I got
second edition rules.
Yep.
Thaco.
Hey, but Sean, I know. Oh man, Thaco rules forever. But with all of its warts. But Sean, I mean, could you play that game now on your phone?
No, you can do it on your iPad.
Oh, awesome.
It runs super well on the iPad. I bought it like 2 years ago, and I was playing it at Adepticon at one of our big conventions for Warhammer, and I was sitting there playing it between rounds, and like 8 people came up to me and were like, wait, are you playing Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Am? I'm like, yeah, it's like $10. They're like, my weekend is now ruined. I'm now playing that game.
Yeah, I know. I'm assuming you can get Baldur's Gate 1 as well, right? Because I think
you can too.
That was fun in its own way. Yeah.
That's the nerd crossover.
Yeah.
I'm the one who barely knows anything about D&D. These guys are all intimate. Like that was a part of their childhood and them growing up. But there's so much complement, so much overlap in all the nerd communities. And now that we get to let our nerd flags fly.
I know.
And now that I know that murder hobos is a term that I can use to describe D&D, I'm suddenly very interested in this game.
I have an interesting D&D story. I'm actually probably one of the reasons I didn't go down the D&D path is because in the late 80s, as you probably remember, that was the thing.
Also, you can't tell it, but he's actually not 17.
Okay. Because I was going to be like the late 80s. Like, did you use a time machine?
Without telling you exactly how old he is legitimately like 7 years older than me.
Wow.
He's a Highlander.
He actually he's Dorian Gray. He has a miniature in a closet that takes all his age. And it's just, if you ever destroyed that, he Indiana Jones on you instantly and just died.
Yeah.
Continue.
But
your timeline is accurate. 80s.
Yeah. So moms didn't like the D&D, so couldn't play the D&D.
The satanic scare.
Yep, the satanic scare. And I lived in Hampton Roads, so there was a lot of the Vampire Masquerade stuff was happening where people were shooting things up and getting all crazy over that game, and moms everywhere were like losing their minds. But so I had to sneak in playing D&D like on Boy Scout trips.
Nice.
So there was like the Boy Scout nerds over here, and we were like huddled up drinking our Mountain Dews, like hoping like the super jockey like Boy Scouts didn't see us. But that's so my D&D's experience besides the video game 10 years later ish is all ancient history as far as that goes.
Rob, do I see any Gundam stuff behind you?
Oh, he's got more than Gundam stuff behind him.
Okay. So I have this is a Gen 2 early 2000s Jetfire. I got my old He-Man Master of the Universe. Some Transformers. We got Devastator up there.
The strongest of all Decepticons, obviously.
Well, the reason, because what's cool is, so I used to build Gundam models when I was a kid, and then last year I got cast in Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans.
Holy cow!
And I'm a guy named Ashton in that Aston Altland in that show, and that was just like a cool moment for me to have something that I nerded out with as a kid.
Oh wow! Yeah,
and then being able to now I'm part of
you're literally part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How crazy?
Same with like being Driss Duerden or being in Star Trek Online, you know, and loving Star Trek.
Oh, so you're a fan of Star Trek and playing Blizzard games and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Unilaterally, is that a yes across the board?
Yeah, I will repeat what I said before you came down. I said, if you don't voice Sombra, I don't care.
That's his favorite shit right now.
Yeah,
Blizzard.
Yeah.
I'm a Sombra main.
He's also a ridiculous Star Trek.
Well, like McCree is a buddy of mine, and
nice.
Reinhardt is a good buddy of mine, and I know 3 or 4 of the other Overwatch people.
My number one game, Street Fighter. Who are you in Street Fighter? I know Guy, right?
Guy.
So
yeah.
I think Bonet always thinks it's Dan, but I was like, it's
I'm Guy.
Profound Sadness.
Yeah.
Like, I say that still because she brought that up the first time.
Profound Sadness.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome.
It's the most ludicrous character in the game.
The power of Bushinryu will be my quill.
Yeah. Oh, and when she told me that, because I got her into Street Fighter years ago, she's like, "That's my boy right there. That's him. I know that's him. I can tell that's him." And I was like, "Oh, Profound Sadness." And he does this number with his hands.
Right.
And I was just driving her crazy with that shit for like a week.
That's
trying to mimic your voice.
I'm waiting for them to bring him back for 5. You know, they're still releasing. They've got a lot more characters to go, and they've released Cody for 5, and it's always been Cody and Guy together.
Yeah.
So I'm fingers crossed. I'm
That's
back for
Bonet's
5.
favorite character is Cody.
Cody, yeah.
And we play it when we play Street Fighter 5 on 2 Saturdays a month here in this Beats Lab.
Well, I hope to God that you'll be able to play Guy soon. They've got a lot of chapters.
You think they'll call you back to voice him over?
Oh yeah, no, they've already told me that. They've actually even had me do like little videos online to be like, "Hey, when are you gonna bring Guy back?" You know, but so I don't know. There must mean something.
I can't wait. Oh my God. But it's not to derail this with Street Fighter. That's my nerd shit. Cause like, obviously I'm a slightly cooler nerd than the rest of these nerds. So Street Fighter is a part of my nerd stuff, but also I paint dudes' pants blue and green all the time as well. So
right.
I keep it nerdy. But sorry, I turned it back over to you, Haspil. I didn't mean to derail you.
No, I'll have another D&D question for folks that are just getting started. What happens when you've just spent, a week drawing up this cool adventure and then your party automatically becomes interested in, going the other way? What's your go-to for like either rerouting them to what you have done or just kind of ad-libbing? Right.
Well, I think that there's a couple of things you can do. Let's say you get them into the adventure, you get them into the start of the adventure, and yeah, they go completely the opposite direction. They're totally going not where you want them to go. The encounters that you had planned for them, you can place them wherever you want. It's your world, right? And that's one big thing that I do is if I know there's a beat that I really want them to hit, then I'll, take a creative license and just put what was supposed to be in room number 40. Well, guess what? Now he's in room number 5. That's just the way it is. If it's more of an open world situation, I mean, I've been in campaigns. I had as a player, I had a fellow party member who was just a troll, like in the sense of we knew our DM wanted us to go into this cave. He set everything up with us going into this cave and then Mike's just like, nah, I don't want to go in the cave. Let's just go somewhere else, and then it was like 8 hours of ad lib. So that's going to happen too. I think you just roll with it. And what's important, the more prepared you can be, the better. But also it's your world. So, if a pit has to open up and they drop into where you wanted them to go anyway, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know not what they did.
They have the link. Let's see if they jump back in.
Their THAC0 was too high.
Right.
Yeah, we're getting.
Yeah, remember when armor class -10 was the best?
Oh my God! You by the time you got to like Baldur's Gate 2, the expansion, you could get all your party up to like neg 15 and be like,
just not
show me a goblin.
Ever.
Show me a goblin.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, I didn't know you were that much of a nerd, Sean.
It's hard to tell with my flowing locks and my 6'5"-ness.
Yeah, he's like super tall. We go to gaming conventions and shit. It's like, you know, we have a certain look about us, you know, and there's that giant exuding nothing but confidence and height.
I've also attracted the other giants to me. You know, the giants.
Oh yeah, they congregate in the corner, and it's like, how are there like 3 dudes who are over 6'5" in one place in a gaming convention?
Because you just look at each other and you know, right? You're just like,
I mean, if you knew D&D, you would know that the giants are a very insular community. They're not going to talk to a lot of other people.
That's true. Yeah.
You don't get opportunities to interact with people who voiced over some of your favorite characters for years. I'm a big anime fan. Huge Blizzard fan. So it's an honor to meet the people who bring those characters to life and video games, in my opinion, are the most legitimate fucking form of entertainment there is, like the way they've come along.
Well, sure, because you can, it's so interactive, like it's just the next level of you're watching a movie and now you're in it.
And the technology, see, back in the day, video games are like literally time waster, challenge quest, you know, like now it's like, I mean, a AAA title with 100 hours of content laid down for you, and you can decide on that content's laid out. It's like the best of D&D, the best of movies and gaming, and your own personalized choice.
Galaga a time waster, sir? Because I'm going to have to ask you to step outside.
Haspil, have you wasted any time on Galaga?
A bit. I might have a Galaga machine in my basement.
He does.
Hey, what was that one where it was like, I think it's not called Moon Lander, but like maybe Moon Rover?
Lunar Lander.
Lunar Lander. I know that one, but what about the one where you're like...
Oh, with the rover.
Yeah, with the rover, you're jumping over things.
Man. I know.
Lunar Lander was great, though. I liked that one.
I bet it's in your cabinet. You just haven't played it.
Moon Patrol. That's it. Moon Patrol. That's exactly
He
it.
fucking knows everything.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, it's weird. Like, you guys know Twin Galaxies and Jace Hall at all, or know of it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I've played that. He's got this crazy console, like full size, cabinet with like, any game you want. Burger Time, Frogger.
Spy Hunter.
Oh yeah, definitely Spy Hunter.
The old school.
Dragon's Lair. So like, just like everything's in there.
We do have a question from the chat. What do you do if the adventure stagnates? Like what's a good way to pull players back in? And that is a good question when people like sit around the table and start playing with their phones and stuff.
Yeah, I know, which can be really frustrating. You know what? A quick combat will pull anybody back in. A quick roll for initiative, I think, will make anybody
oh shit.
Yeah, sort of drop stop looking
my
at
favorite
Tumblr.
Was from my GM Ed, shout out to you. We were playing a 40K RPG and somebody tried to do something insane and he was just like, okay, I need you to take a dexterity check and then roll up a new character.
No, you tell this story better. You tell the story in a way funnier way. He's like, roll this dice, now roll this. Am I rolling a new character? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
That got everyone's attention real quick.
It looks like I'm rolling up a new character.
Yeah, it was like, wow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any other questions, really. I have a ton of questions, but I don't know, like, if they're appropriate. Like how would you, if you wanted to break into the voiceover industry, how would you even go about doing that?
Well, everyone kind of breaks in differently. For me, I sang on a commercial, actually sang on a Pop-Tarts commercial, which got me into the Screen Actors Guild. And then I started taking classes. But what I would say is, there are a lot of, are you guys all, where do you live specifically? Because I know you're trying to get into voiceover.
Oh, I'm in Colorado.
Okay. I would say check around. There may be voiceover classes in Colorado, or there might just be acting classes as well. There are some things you can do online, like Voice123 and voices.com, where you can record from home. But in order to do a lot of bigger games and productions, you kind of need to live in LA or New York. There's a lot of anime that's done in Dallas, but LA and New York have the bulk of the work because the directors always want to be in the same room with you, and they always want to make sure that they're recording everybody on the same gear, right? Mm-hmm. So you'll be able to do some voiceover stuff from a home rig. It depends on which ones you want to get into, but mainly your geography will limit a little bit of what jobs you can get, only because like if they're recording a game or we're doing an anime or we're doing, original animation and things are going all day, right? So they've got one actor scheduled at 9:00, another one at 11, another one at 2 or whatever. The director can't go all over town. Like they want everyone to come to him so that he can build that whole show. But to get some stuff under your belt, I would say, Voice123 and voices.com, check those out. They're small. I think it's like a small monthly fee to join, but I know a lot of people who have, breaking into the industry that way, gotten some work under their belt and then able to build a resume that way. And you never know, you could get lucky and get a good client that also gets bigger while you're getting bigger and then, turn it into some real steady work.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like you want to be able to, like yesterday I narrated something for a sandwich shop. The day before that, I worked on a really awesome video game. But then the day before that, I might have, narrated an audiobook or done something that, or some, like I'm not going to say what company, but I often, for years, I've gotten hired to narrate the, employee training videos for a certain, big financial company. So, okay. Those are all, but at the end of the day, like I'm still getting paid to speak, like that's just part of, what's in my wheelhouse as a voice actor. And what's, I guess, funny or unfortunate or whatever, but right after the Harvey Weinstein news broke, I narrated like 3 different sexual harassment videos, just to make sure that everybody was at the company was on point about what their sexual harassment policy was and what sexual harassment was, because nobody's taking any chances on anymore.
No, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm trying to do like audiobooks with ACX, that kind of thing.
See, if you're trying to do audiobooks, that's great because that's one that you can totally do from home. And that can be very lucrative. Mm-hmm. I see this question here. Okay. What is your favorite saga from the Silmarillion or any portion of the expanded Tolkienverse? Well, I might argue with you that the Silmarillion isn't the expanded Tolkienverse because actually that came first. I'm super nerding out right now. But my favorite saga is specifically this Tale of Turin. And actually I super nerded out one time and I own Turin's helmet. This is me the other day.
He literally has a picture. Yeah, check it out. There's a picture of him wearing that shit.
Yeah, so that's the helm of Hador that Turin wore with Glaurung on the top.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I passed his test.
He said yes. He passed the test. Sand dog. LOL. Thank you for that question. He's on your level, Haspil, with that Tolkien shit.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm kind of excited about. Well, so Amazon is making a Lord of the Rings series that's supposed to take place in between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. There's about 70 years or so in between there, where like young Aragorn and young Theoden like did some things together. And, but so they're going to kind of use pieces of that to make this series. But, the Tolkien estate has never sold the visual rights to the Silmarillion. Now you could make a 10-year series out of all the stories that are in the Silmarillion, or make a ton of movies out of it. But I think that now the estate is kind of backing off and they're licensing off more pieces. And there's a ton of rabid Tolkien fans like me that want to see the Silmarillion stories made into some sort of visual medium. So
I feel like you could spend the first, like, you could make like a whole like opera piece out of the beginning of the Silmarillion, you know, like just like the creation of the world and the coming of the trees and all that such, you know.
He totally could.
That would be a great, like, it'd be like a great different media approach to go across the things, because I feel like the whole first part could be like a Fantasia like epic, like a Fantasia like.
That's a really good idea.
You know, that kind of level where it's like opera pieces and the big bands that they use for filming Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, but you could set all that to such a high level music piece, because that's all like the whole beginning is the
right. Is that music created the world?
Music created the world and all that, you know.
Yep.
Haspil, is that all check out? Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's all. And then Morgoth decided to start singing his own song, and et cetera, et cetera.
You know, and the flight of the Noldor, and you know.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to go down this rabbit hole, Kenny.
Come on, Kenny.
Well, I mean, I'm basic bitch when it comes to
I feel like Kenny's
Tolkien.
learned a lot more about Sean tonight than he'd ever thought.
I know. I was like, I'm blown away by this, because like Haspil's my touchstone for Tolkien knowledge. I know only the most basic stuff. But, you know, I've read the Lord of the Rings. That's it. Nothing else.
That's okay. There's a lot in there too. And the Silmarillion is referenced a lot in the Lord of the Rings. So you've read a lot about a lot of these heroes without even really realizing it, even if it's just mentioned by someone else in Lord of the Rings.
Damn. I feel like I got to do it. Yo, is shit on Audible, Haspil?
Silmarillion? Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my favorite part about the fact is the Lord of the Rings is like 2 paragraphs in the Silmarillion. It's like, in the Third Age, Frodo brought the ring to Mordor. Bing, bing, boom.
Like it's meaningless.
The best thing to get on Audible, what I would say is to get The Children of Húrin, which is a chunk of the Silmarillion, but it's that story expanded, and it's narrated by Christopher Lee, which is amazing.
Oh yes.
You hear his voice for 7 hours just reading you Tolkien, and I'll listen to it sometimes just to relax. I've listened to it like 4 or 5 times in its entirety because I just love listening to Christopher Lee retell me the tale.
Yeah. The language is just amazing in that too. It's just melodic. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yo, I the stuff we've learned, and look, it's a big interview, guys. People who listen to our podcast, probably do about 5 more minutes. I think the show will come to a conclusion. And you're probably going to go up there and meet with them to go somewhere. Is that you guys going to like a casting thing together?
I think they are. I've got to go back and finish building a shed in my backyard.
Tonight?
Yeah. Don't get me started.
Are we keeping?
No, it's okay. It's all right.
All right. We'll bring this interview to its conclusion then with Robbie B. See you sitting over there.
Hello.
Oh, hey, there he is.
I'm going to put him on the spot.
Okay.
I'll put him on the spot.
Well, someone in the chat asked what character you voiced turned out to be the most like your actual personality.
Probably. Okay, so I was a character named Shinji in Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit. And I felt like in that show, I was just kind of being myself. And it was real. Like, I felt like what he did were the things that I would do in that situation. Basically the whole series, he's chasing this woman who kidnapped this prince, and I'm one of the guards pursuing them. And, so we're sort of the secondary story, but we're in every episode. I just loved that character because his choices, I felt like, would have been my choices too. So, yeah. I've never been asked that question before, so it took me a second to think about that. Thanks.
Rob, I was mainly turning over to you to see if you had any questions as a fellow nerd.
Well, I mean, I would just probably ask about tabletop in general. Like, I know you probably know of 40K and stuff, but you know, what's your background there? Like, have you played or?
No, I haven't. So I think I'm going to be playing sometime soon. What do you think?
We're going to have to do a crossover. I'm feeling like teach me how to play D&D. I teach you how to play 40K. It might be a crossover because I think that we've actually, through Bonet, have been like orbiting each other for a meet and greet for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Close.
And we just haven't gotten in the same room except for this super impromptu interview. So I bet you there's going to be something real soon. And it's going to be interesting because like I played my only experience in live action role playing, or I guess that's not even right. That's LARPing. That's different, right?
Right. Tabletop role.
Tabletop role playing is Star Wars RPG.
Okay.
I played for like 12 minutes. With
12 minutes.
I got kicked out quick. It was Haspil. I was playing with David and Hod.
Okay.
And they have like and this guy named Walker. They had some high level Jedi. They've been playing together. You know how it is D&D. Like these dudes played together for years and stuff. Yeah. And David is like he's basically Han Solo. Like he's got his little plane or whatever flying around the galaxy, stealing shit, pretending he's a good guy when he's really not. He's got a mechanic droid. And I was like, well, I'd like to play this shit with you guys. He said, okay, we'll roll it up. I was like, I'm a Wookiee. Got it. He's like, cool. I want to be on David's shit. I want to be just like Chewbacca. I want to be the mechanic. He's like, okay, roll it up. I'm like, I'm from Wookiee Prime. That's my backstory. He's like, it's not that. I was like, that's my homeworld.
Wookiee is Prime.
And he's like, no, it's not that. It's Kashyyyk, I later learned. And I was like, you don't speak my language. You don't know what it translates to. And they're like, we're not with this, but continue. We're in a heated dogfight with some Imperial. Something catches on fire, and I was like, I got this. I'm literally a mechanic. He was like, you're level 1 mechanic. I have this combat droid I've been training for like a year. Got it, fixing it. They're like, okay, roll it up. Blow up David's shit.
Oh.
And I was like, it's fake. It's not real. And then they were really mad. They were really mad, and they broke it down to me like, you don't understand, obviously we're going to go back. You ruined that for us. Like you weren't taking this seriously. And like, that's real life. Like that is something we have talked about and we have seen in our minds for like 9 months. So like, you know, like take it a little more seriously. And I was like, okay, I understand your point. And so that was my one experience. Mates, they were not happy with me. And I think my body's ready to take it seriously.
All right. Well, we'll have to do something about that.
Haspil, take us out of this interview with some, you know, kind words and everything. And
yeah, so thank you to Jason for sharing your time with us. And this is, I mean, we could go for like 3 hours.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure, but
if I didn't have to finish that shed, I would totally be sitting here. Yeah.
But thank you very much. And everybody tune in to the myriad of shows, the starter kit, if you're not used to role-playing games and need to peep that out. And I'm actually going to check that out because I was on a couple panels where people were asking me about how to break in.
Oh, awesome. And by the way, some of those are behind the paywall on Project Alpha, but they're posting season 1 to YouTube in like a week.
We're familiar with this process.
Yeah.
We do that. We have a joke where it's like, look, man, fuck all these paywalls, but real quick, subscribe to my paywall real quick. If you want to see it on YouTube like a hobo, just wait a couple of weeks. But,
for us, it's like a year for some of this stuff.
Yeah, but, that's some premium content, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, check them out on the D&D Twitch channel. So that's awesome. This is really cool. All right.
Just get a little pause there.
All right.
Cool. I'm going to walk Jason out, let him get squared away.
Nice to meet you guys.
And hey, that means we only have to do like a tabletop marketplace and a quick breakdown of chapter approved, guys, because we got all our content.
Thank you, Jason. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Robbie B. You guys are like probably this like same age, same.
You want to play a game? Guess how old I am.
Well, I mean, only because of what he said, and someone else wrote 50 going on 15 in the chat. So I don't know. I mean, initially, I would say, honestly, like if I didn't know any of this information, like my first impression of you was, probably like 28.
Wow, that's high.
Well,
only because I saw all this stuff in the background.
He's using deductive reasoning.
Yeah. So my deductive reasoning would be 28. Like not knowing you at all. Yeah.
Street age.
Yeah. Street age would be like 22.
Which is, that's common. That's common. And it used to be worse. Like people used to be like, we'd go in a bar together.
I'm sure you still get carded.
In DC, and he has that weird DC license. And they showed to him and see his it had his actual date of birth on it. And they're like, okay, you could have, like, really?
Yeah, is this your dad's ID?
Like, you could have gone with exactly 21. I would have given you this fucking drink. But you went with that year? And he's like, oh my God. Like, we can't even get a drink tonight.
Dude. I grew up near DC, by the way, too. I grew up in Clifton and then Fairfax, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Man, Robbie B spent some time out of that region.
Yeah. Arlington.
Yeah, my dad lives in Alexandria still. So
Yep. Springfield and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a one of my old stomping grounds.
Nice. All right, so how old are you?
I'm 42. I'll be
42 in a month, right?
Wow.
A week.
Fountain of youth, man. Fountain of youth.
Oh yeah. And he's like 6'2". Like people see that.
Yeah, sitting down, you look like a little tiny little dude.
Sean's like,
you'll have to listen to it in the recap. We covered how giants congregate and they're very insular. We covered his giantism earlier.
Sean is like, Sean unfurls when he gets out of cars and things. He's like,
and they're all so tall, like they watch us all, and then like they get a perception of us, and then we show up to conventions, and like this dude is like, wow, like you're the big one, like yeah, me and Haspil, we're little guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we did it, guys. Haspil, take us out of here.
1783 was a very good year. Mozart wrote his great mass. The Montgolfier brothers went up in their first hot air balloon, and England recognized the independence of the United States.